The night was colder than usual. The streets were almost empty, only the sound of the wind moving through old trees and broken fences. John walked slowly, his hands deep inside his worn jacket pockets. He was not in a hurry. He had no reason to be. He usually took this road near the old church when he wanted quiet. The church was ancient, its walls cracked, paint faded, and windows dark. People rarely came here anymore. Some said it was haunted. John did not believe in ghosts, but he believed in silence, and the church gave him that. He liked the way the building stood, tall but lonely, as if it was keeping secrets from the world. As he walked past the heavy wooden gate, something unusual caught his ear. A faint sound, weak, almost like a whisper or a sob. At first he thought it was just the wind whistling through the cracks, but then he heard it again. It was softer, almost painful. John stopped. His heart gave a small jump. He looked around, the street empty, the lamps broken. The sound was coming from behind the church. Curiosity and a strange sense of worry pushed him to move closer. His boots made soft crunches on the gravel as he stepped carefully. He reached the back of the church, a place most people never went. Weeds grew tall and broken bottles lay scattered around. And then, he froze. There, near the stone wall, he saw her. A girl. She was lying on the ground, her body curled up, almost hidden under shadows. Her skin seemed pale, but not the normal pale of humans. It had a faint shimmer, as if the moon itself had touched her. She wore almost no clothes, just torn fabric covering her weak frame. Her long hair, tangled and dark, fell across her face. John's breath caught. She looked hurt, cold, and lost. For a moment he wondered if she was just a runaway, maybe a homeless girl seeking shelter. But something about her was different. He stepped closer. "Hey, are you okay?" His voice was gentle but filled with concern. The girl stirred. Slowly her head lifted and her eyes met his. John felt his chest tighten. Her eyes were not normal. They glowed faintly, a strange silver light moving in them like liquid stars. She tried to speak, her lips trembling. "Don't let them find me," she whispered, her voice weak, almost broken. John's heart raced. "Them? Who?" He looked around quickly, but the street was still empty. He knelt beside her, noticing small wounds on her arms and legs. The cuts looked fresh, yet they shimmered with a faint light as if healing themselves. He hesitated. This was not normal. No human bled like this. No human looked like this. Still, she was trembling, her body cold against the ground. Whatever she was, she needed help. "Come on, let's get you out of here," John said softly. He took off his jacket and gently wrapped it around her fragile body. She winced at his touch but did not resist. Her breathing was shallow, her hands shaking. John tried to lift her, and to his surprise she was lighter than he expected, almost weightless. For a second he wondered if he was imagining everything, but the cold weight in his arms reminded him this was real. As he carried her toward the street, he noticed strange markings on her skin, like faint glowing lines, almost like symbols or writing. They pulsed faintly as if alive. "What are you?" John whispered to himself, but the girl's eyes closed again, too weak to answer. The wind grew stronger, and in the distance John thought he heard the low hum of engines. He froze for a moment, looking up at the sky. A strange light flickered far away, too low, too steady to be a star. He felt a chill run down his spine. The girl's words echoed in his mind. "Don't let them find me." Who was looking for her? Why was she here, behind an old church, almost without clothes, as if she had fallen from the sky? John shook his head, pushing the thoughts away. Right now, the only thing that mattered was keeping her alive. He pulled her closer, hiding her face under his jacket. "Don't worry," he whispered, though his voice trembled. "I'll keep you safe." But deep inside, John knew nothing about this was safe. And as he walked into the dark street, holding the strange glowing girl in his arms, he felt something shift in his life. This night was not ordinary. This girl was not ordinary, and whatever secret she carried, it was already pulling him into a world he could not yet understand. The night dragged slowly as John carried the strange girl back to his small house. His home was not much. 2 rooms, old wooden walls, a single heater that worked only sometimes, but it was warmer than the streets. He placed the girl carefully on his old couch, wrapping her in a blanket. For a moment he stood there staring at her. She was not like anyone he had ever seen before. Her skin seemed too smooth, too bright, as though it reflected the dim light in the room. And those strange glowing marks on her arms, they had not faded. If anything, they pulsed slowly like they were alive. John shook his head. Maybe I'm too tired. Maybe I'm just imagining things, he whispered to himself. But when he looked again, the light was still there. The girl stirred weakly, her lips dry. John hurried to the kitchen and poured a glass of water. Here, drink this, he said gently. She held the cup with shaking hands, sipping slowly. For a second, her eyes met his again. That same silver glow like liquid metal flashed in her pupils. John swallowed hard, trying not to show his fear. After water, he brought her some food. Bread, a little soup he had made earlier. She sniffed at it, her face confused as if she had never seen such food before. Still, hunger was stronger. She ate quickly, almost desperately, but stopped suddenly when she tasted the meat in the soup. Her body jerked and she pushed the bowl away, coughing. "What's wrong?" John asked, worried. Her voice was weak but clear. "I cannot eat this." She pointed to the soup with trembling fingers. John frowned. "Meat? You don't eat meat?" She shook her head, her hair falling over her face. "Not from this world." Her answer made no sense to him, but he didn't push her. Instead, he gave her just bread and water, and she ate quietly. For a few minutes, silence filled the room, broken only by the sound of her chewing softly. John kept staring at the glowing lines on her arms. They looked like symbols, strange and beautiful, moving slightly as if they were written in light under her skin. Finally, he asked, "What happened to you? Who hurt you?" The girl's face darkened. She looked away, her hands clutching the blanket tightly. "They are hunting me," she whispered. "They will not stop until I am gone." John leaned forward. "Who's hunting you?" But she did not answer. Instead, she closed her eyes, breathing heavily as if the memory itself caused pain. John sat back, running his hand through his hair. This was insane. He had just wanted a quiet walk near the church. Now he had a half-dressed glowing girl in his house, speaking like she came from another world. It was too much, and yet, something inside him told him she was telling the truth. He stood and went to the window, pulling the curtain slightly. His street was usually silent at night, but tonight, something felt different. A black vehicle passed slowly, its headlights off. Two men in dark coats walked near the corner, speaking in low voices. John's stomach tightened. They didn't look like police. They didn't look like neighbors. They looked like hunters. His mind flashed back to her words. "Don't let them find me." John closed the curtain quickly and turned back. The girl was staring at him, her glowing eyes calm but sharp. "They are here," she said softly, as if reading his thoughts. John's heart pounded. "Who are they? Why are they looking for you?" She sat up slowly, her weak body shaking, but her voice carried strange strength. "Because I am not supposed to be here. I escaped." Her words made his skin crawl. "Escaped? From where?" Before he could ask, she held out her hand. A faint silver light appeared above her palm, swirling like smoke turned into liquid. The light twisted and formed a small sphere, glowing softly in the dark room. John's eyes widened, his breath caught in his throat. He had never seen anything like it. It was not a trick, not some toy. This was real. The light sphere vanished and she collapsed back against the couch, exhausted. "You see," she whispered, "I am not human." John stood frozen, his mind spinning. Not human. He wanted to deny it, to call her crazy, to pretend this was all some dream. But the truth was glowing in front of him. She was not human. The room fell silent again, but outside, the sound of footsteps grew louder. The black vehicle had stopped near his street. Someone was knocking on doors now, asking questions. John's fear mixed with anger. Whoever these people were, they were too close. He turned to the girl. "Listen, I don't know what you are or what you did, but if they're after you, I won't hand you over. You hear me?" Her glowing eyes softened for the first time, as if she believed him. "Thank you," she whispered. But John knew this was only the beginning. The world outside his door was no longer safe. And by helping this strange girl, he had just stepped into a danger far bigger than anything he had ever known. As the knocks moved closer down the street, John blew out the small lamp in his room, leaving only darkness. He crouched beside the couch, listening to the girl's faint breathing, his own heart racing. He had no idea what tomorrow would bring. But he knew one thing. The secret behind this girl was not small. It was something that could change everything. The night was heavy with silence. John sat on the floor beside the couch, his back against the wall. The strange girl, still wrapped in his jacket and blanket, slept fitfully, her body trembling now and then. Every time she whispered in her sleep, strange words slipped out, words that did not belong to any language John had ever heard. Outside, the quiet hum of the black vehicle faded into the distance. Whoever those men were, they had moved on for now, but John knew they would return. His instinct screamed that this was not over. He rubbed his tired eyes and glanced at the girl again. Who was she really? She didn't look like someone from this world. Her glowing eyes, her strange wounds, the silver light she had shown in her palm. No normal person could do that. But the question that kept pressing on John's mind was this: why Earth? If she truly was not human, why was she here, hiding behind a broken church in his small, forgotten town? The girl suddenly stirred. Her eyes snapped open, glowing faintly even in the dark. John tensed, unsure if she was awake or trapped in a dream. Her gaze locked onto him. "You should not help me," she whispered. "It will bring you danger." John let out a short breath. "Too late for that," he muttered. "You're already here." She blinked slowly, her breathing uneven. After a pause, she asked, "Why? Why do you not give me to them?" John shrugged, though inside he was still afraid. "Because I don't hand over people to strangers in black vans. Because you look like you needed help. That's all." For the first time, a faint smile touched her lips, though it quickly faded. Her expression grew serious. "You do not understand. If they find me, they will not stop with me. They will burn everything around me." Her words chilled him. He wanted to ask more, but before he could, the faint glow of the markings on her arms grew stronger. The light crawled across her skin like silver veins. John's eyes widened as he watched the patterns shift and form into clearer shapes, symbols almost like letters. He leaned closer. "What is that?" The girl hesitated, then slowly pulled back the blanket, revealing more of her arm. The symbols pulsed brighter, as if alive. "This is the proof," she said softly. "It is carved into me. I cannot hide it," John frowned. "Proof of what?" She looked at him with her strange, glowing eyes, her voice trembling with both fear and pride. "Proof that I am not like you. Proof that I am from beyond your sky." John's heart skipped a beat. The words hit him like a storm. "You mean, you're an alien?" He whispered the word as if saying it too loudly might make it real. She nodded slowly. "From the stars? From far away? I should not be here. But I had no choice." John stared at her, struggling to breathe. His whole life, aliens were just something from stories, from movies. And now, one was sitting on his couch, eating his bread, wearing his jacket. He wanted to laugh, to deny it. But he couldn't. He had seen the glowing light in her palm. He had seen her strange wounds healing faster than human flesh. And now, the shifting silver symbols on her skin left no room for doubt. The girl lowered her eyes. "My name is Liara," John repeated it softly. "Liara." The name felt strange on his tongue, but it fit her somehow. She looked at him again, her face full of tired sadness. "John, you must understand. If they find me, they will not just take me. They will kill me, and they will kill anyone who tried to protect me." Her words shook him. "Who are they?" "Who are those men?" "They are hunters," she said. "Sent to bring me back, or to silence me forever." John's mind spun. Hunters, aliens. A girl with glowing blood and star-like eyes. He was a simple man, living in a small town far away from big cities or important places. How had his life turned into this nightmare in just one night? Liara's hand suddenly trembled and she gasped, clutching her chest. Her body shook and the silver markings on her skin flared brighter. John rushed to her side. "Hey! What's happening?" Her eyes glowed like fire. "My strength. It fades," she whispered. "I need time. I need to hide." John grabbed her shoulders gently. "Then you'll hide here. No one knows about this place. You'll be safe." She looked at him, her lips parting as if to argue, but then she stopped. Slowly she nodded, as though trusting him was the only choice she had left. But as she lay back down, her voice came faint, almost like a warning. "John, I am more than just a runaway. I carry something inside me. Something they want." John swallowed hard. "What is it?" Liara's silver eyes met his. For a moment, silence hung heavy in the room. Then she whispered, "Blood. My blood carries a secret, a code that can change who rules the stars." John froze, his heart thundering in his chest. He had thought she was just a strange, lost girl. But now, he realized she was something much more dangerous. Outside, a faint buzzing sound filled the air. John rushed to the window. A small black drone floated near his house, its red eye blinking as it scanned the street. His blood turned cold. The hunters had not left after all. They were searching, and they were getting closer. The red glow of the drone blinked outside John's window like a watching eye. He held his breath, pulling the curtain back just enough to see it hover silently. The machine floated side to side, scanning the houses, its strange hum filling the night air. John ducked back quickly, his heart racing. They were searching for her. There was no doubt now. Whoever these hunters were, they were organized, and they had technology far beyond anything John had ever seen. Behind him, Liara sat up weakly, her silver eyes glowing faintly in the dark. "They are close," she whispered. John turned. "What do they want with you? You keep saying they're hunting you, but why?" Liara hesitated. Her hands trembled as she pulled the blanket tighter around her shoulders. "If I tell you," she said softly, "you will not look at me the same. You may even hate me." John shook his head. "I don't care what you are. I just want the truth." She stared at him for a long moment, then lowered her gaze. Slowly, she raised her hand and pressed her palm against her chest right over her heart. The glowing lines across her arms pulsed brighter, spreading across her body like living streams of silver light. John stepped back in shock. The symbols formed shapes, patterns, and then a crest, a symbol that looked like a crown surrounded by stars. What is that?" John asked, his voice unsteady. Liara's eyes shone brighter now, though her face was full of sadness. "It is the mark of my family, the mark of the royal bloodline." John's jaw tightened. "Royal? You mean—" "You're some kind of—" "I am the daughter of the High Emperor of the Orion Dominion," Liara said, her voice trembling with both fear and pride. "My blood is royal. My life is a target, and my death would mean power for those who want to take the throne." John felt his legs weaken. He dropped into the chair across from her, staring as if he were trying to make sense of an impossible puzzle. "You're saying you're a princess?" Liara nodded slowly. "Yes, a princess of the stars. But here on your world, I am only a fugitive. My people will not forgive me for running. They want me silenced because I carry something they cannot allow to fall into the wrong hands." John's throat went dry. "The code you talked about? In your blood?" Her silver eyes fixed on his. "Yes, my blood is not only royal, it carries the genetic key to the throne. Without it, no one can truly claim the empire. That is why they hunt me. If I live, I'm a threat. If I die, the code dies with me." John's head spun. He was just an ordinary man, living an ordinary life, and now he was sitting across from an alien princess whose blood could decide the fate of an entire galaxy. He rubbed his face with his hands. "Why here? Why Earth?" Liara looked down, her voice breaking. "Because Earth is forgotten. It is small, unimportant, a place no one would think to search. I thought I could hide here, at least for a while, but they found me sooner than I feared." John stood and paced the small room, his thoughts racing. "So what happens if they catch you? They just take you back?" Her eyes grew cold. "No, if they catch me, they will kill me, and they will burn this place to erase any trace of me." John's chest tightened with anger. He turned sharply toward her. "Then we won't let them catch you, not here. Not anywhere." Liara blinked, surprised. "Why would you risk yourself for me? You owe me nothing." John looked at her firmly. "Because I couldn't live with myself if I let them take you. You didn't choose to be hunted. You didn't choose to carry this royal blood. And right now you need someone. That's enough." For a moment silence hung between them. Then slowly tears filled Liara's strange silver eyes. She looked down, hiding her face. "On my world," she whispered, "people kneel before me because of my blood. But no one ever stood beside me because of who I am. Not until you." John felt something shift inside him. He didn't understand her world, her empire, or her enemies. But he understood loneliness. He understood fear. And in that moment he decided he would not abandon her. Before he could speak, the sound of heavy boots echoed outside. Someone was walking up the street, more than one person. John rushed to the window again. 3 figures in dark armor moved silently, their faces hidden by helmets. Strange weapons glowed faintly in their hands. "They're here," John whispered. Liara stood shakily, her body still weak, but her eyes blazing with light. "If they take me, everything ends. You must promise me, John, if I fall, do not let them take my body. My blood cannot be theirs." John stared at her, his heart pounding. "You're not falling." "Not tonight." She reached out, her hand trembling, and placed it on his arm. For a moment, the silver glow spread from her touch, running across his skin like a spark. "Then we fight together," she said. John nodded firmly. He had no weapon, no training, and no plan. But he had something the hunters did not: human stubbornness.
He would not give up. As the shadows of the hunters darkened his street, John grabbed a heavy iron rod from the corner of the room.
Liara straightened her back, silver light flickering across her skin like armor. Together they waited in the silence, two unlikely allies standing against the storm. And in that moment, John realized the truth. This girl, this princess of the stars, was not just a fugitive. She was a spark that could ignite a war far greater than Earth had ever known. The knock on the door never came. Instead, the silence outside grew heavier. John peered through the small crack in the curtain. The three figures in dark armor were no longer standing in the street. They were moving, scanning the houses one by one, their weapons glowing faintly with strange blue light. John's heart thudded. "They're searching every home," he whispered. Liara stood near the couch, her body weak but her eyes burning silver. "They will not stop. They can smell my presence. The code in my blood calls to their machines." John clenched his fists. He had no idea what code or machines she meant, but he knew one thing. If they found her, they wouldn't ask questions. They would kill. The sound of boots grew louder. Shadows passed across his window. One of the hunters stopped directly in front of his door. John's chest tightened. He held his breath, then, beep, a sharp tone rang out from the hunter's wrist device. The man turned his helmet slightly toward John's house. The red light on his scanner blinked rapidly. "They've found me," Liara whispered, fear flickering across her face. John acted fast. "We can't stay here." "Come on," he grabbed her hand. Her skin felt strange, too warm, almost buzzing with energy. Together they slipped out the back door just as the front door creaked under the hunter's push. The cold night air hit John's face as they ran. His boots pounded against the cracked pavement. Liara stumbled, her body still weak, but John held her firmly, pulling her along. Behind them, the front door shattered. A deep metallic voice called out, "Target acquired." Blue light beams cut through the night, flashing past them. One blast hit the ground nearby, exploding in sparks. John ducked, pulling Liara into the narrow alley behind the houses. "Keep moving," he shouted, though his lungs burned. Liara's silver eyes glowed brighter now, the symbols across her arms pulsing. She raised her hand weakly, and for a second, a shield of shimmering light flickered around them. Another blast struck, but the light absorbed it before fading. Liara gasped, nearly collapsing. John caught her. "Don't push yourself. Just run!" They stumbled out of the alley and into the empty streets. The hunters followed, their boots pounding, their weapons firing beams that scorched walls and shattered glass. John's heart screamed at him to stop, to hide, but he knew hiding would not work. These hunters had machines, scanners, and weapons. The only choice was to keep moving. He spotted an abandoned factory ahead, a broken building with shattered windows and rusted doors. "In there!" he pointed. They dashed across the street and slipped inside. Dust filled the air, the smell of rust and oil heavy in John's nose. The large hall was filled with broken machines and fallen beams. Shadows stretched long across the walls. John pulled Liara behind a stack of old crates. She was breathing hard, her skin glowing faintly in the dark. "They won't stop," she said weakly. "Not until one of us is gone." John looked around desperately. He found a long metal pipe on the ground and picked it up, gripping it tightly. His hand shook, but his jaw hardened. "Then we fight." Liara's silver eyes softened. "You are only human. You cannot fight them alone." John forced a shaky smile. "Humans fight best when we're cornered." Before she could answer, the heavy doors of the factory groaned. The hunters entered, their glowing visors sweeping across the dark interior. One of them activated a device, sending a red scanning wave across the room. John's heart sank. They would be found in seconds. He turned to Liara. "When I distract them, you run. Do you understand? Run and don't look back." Her eyes widened. "No, if you die, promise me," John hissed. Liara's lips trembled, but she nodded. The hunter's footsteps echoed closer. John gripped the pipe tighter. His body trembled, but his spirit burned. He waited until one hunter passed the crates, then swung with all his strength. The pipe slammed into the back of the hunter's helmet with a loud clang. The figure staggered but did not fall. Instead, it turned sharply, glowing visor locking onto John. "Human," the metallic voice said coldly. "You interfere." The hunter raised its weapon. John barely rolled aside as a blue blast scorched the floor where he had stood. He swung the pipe again, this time aiming for the weapon. Sparks flew as metal hit alien steel. Behind him, Liara raised her trembling hands. A wave of silver light burst from her, striking the second hunter and knocking him back against a wall. The impact cracked the wall, but the hunter slowly rose again, unshaken. John's chest heaved. His strength was nothing against their armor, but he refused to back down. He jabbed, swung, and dodged, fighting with the raw will of survival. The third hunter moved toward Liara, weapon raised. She gasped, her body collapsing against the crates. She had no strength left. John saw it. He didn't think. He threw himself between her and the hunter. The blue blast hit the pipe in his hand, sending a shockwave through his arms. Pain ripped through him, but he stood firm, refusing to let them near her. For a second, the hunters hesitated, as if surprised by his stubbornness. A mere human standing against them with nothing but a broken pipe. John glared at them through the sweat and pain. "If you want her," he growled, "you'll have to go through me." The factory shook with the sound of their weapons charging again. Liara's weak voice rose behind him. "John, if I die, everything falls." Her silver glow flickered faintly like a dying star, and John realized this fight was only the beginning. The factory echoed with heavy footsteps and the hum of alien weapons charging. Shadows stretched across the broken walls and dust rose in the air with every movement. John gripped the iron pipe in his hands so tightly his knuckles burned white. His chest heaved, his heart pounding like a drum. The three hunters spread out. Their glowing visors swept across the room and their voices spoke in a language John couldn't understand, a harsh mechanical tongue. But even without knowing the words, John understood the meaning. They were closing in. They would not stop until Liara was theirs. Behind him, Liara leaned weakly against the crates, her silver eyes half closed. The glowing lines on her skin flickered dimly. She was running out of strength. John whispered to her without turning his head. "Stay low. I'll buy you time." She shook her head. "You cannot fight them alone." John gave a short, grim laugh. "I don't plan on fighting fair." The first hunter stepped forward, weapon raised. A thin beam of blue light shot across the hall, grazing John's shoulder and burning his jacket. The pain seared, but John didn't stop. He rushed forward with a raw shout, swinging the pipe with all his strength. The metal slammed into the hunter's weapon, knocking it sideways. Sparks flew. The hunter stumbled slightly, surprised by the brute force of a human strike. John didn't wait. He swung again, this time hitting the hunter's knee joint. The alien armor cracked slightly. The hunter growled in its metallic voice and shoved him back with inhuman strength. John crashed into the ground, the pipe clattering across the floor. His chest screamed with pain, but he scrambled up again, refusing to stay down. The second hunter moved toward Liara. Her silver eyes flared. With trembling hands, she raised them toward the ceiling. Light burst out, forming a sudden shield of energy between her and the hunter. The blue blast hit the shield and exploded, shaking the whole hall. The shield cracked like glass, then shattered. Liara gasped, falling to her knees, drained. "Liara!" John shouted. He lunged for the fallen pipe, snatching it up just as the third hunter closed in from the side. John swung low this time, hitting the hunter's leg hard enough to make sparks fly. The hunter staggered, and John grabbed a heavy chain hanging from the ceiling. With quick thinking, he looped it around the hunter's arm and pulled with all his weight. The alien roared as it was dragged against a broken machine, pinned for a moment. "Humans improvised," John muttered through clenched teeth. The first hunter raised his weapon again. John ducked behind a rusted steel beam. The blue blast hit the beam, melting a hole straight through it. Sweat ran down his face. One more direct hit and he was done. Liara crawled toward him, her hand glowing faintly. "John, hold still." Before he could ask why, she pressed her glowing palm against his burned shoulder. Heat rushed through him, but it wasn't pain, it was energy. The burn marks faded, his skin repairing itself in seconds. John stared in shock. "You healed me," he whispered. She gave a weak smile. "Not fully. Only enough to keep you fighting." The hunters regrouped, their glowing visors locking onto them. They spoke again in their harsh tongue, and John knew they were preparing for the final strike. John stood tall, pipe in hand, his body trembling, but his eyes burning. "You picked the wrong planet," he growled. The hunters raised their weapons. Liara's silver eyes suddenly blazed like fire. Her entire body glowed brighter than before, the markings across her skin burning like molten light. She raised both hands and the ground trembled. A shockwave of silver energy burst from her, slamming into the hunters. Two of them were thrown across the hall, crashing into walls with a metallic crash. The third staggered but aimed its weapon again. John saw his chance. He grabbed a broken steel rod from the ground, sprinted forward and jammed it into the hunter's weapon. Sparks exploded and the weapon backfired, knocking the hunter backward. The hall filled with smoke and flickering lights. The hunters struggled to rise again, but John and Liara were already moving. "Go!" John shouted, pulling her toward the side door. Liara stumbled beside him, her glow fading fast. Her voice was faint. "I cannot hold it much longer." "You don't need to," John said firmly, tightening his grip on her hand. "I'll hold it for both of us." They burst through the side door into the cold night. The factory behind them shook with the sounds of the hunters recovering. The chase was not over. It had only begun. But as they ran into the dark streets, John felt something stronger than fear rise inside him. For the first time, he was not just protecting a stranger. He was standing against something far bigger than himself. Liara, the alien princess, had trusted him with her life. And John had made his choice. He would fight even if the whole galaxy came for her. The night sky stretched above them, black and endless. The factory was far behind, but John knew the hunters would not stop. Their weapons, their machines, their strength, it was only a matter of time before they caught up. He and Liara stumbled through the empty streets, their breath visible in the cold air. John's arm supported her as she leaned against him, her steps unsteady. Her glow had dimmed and the silver lines on her skin flickered weakly. "You're burning out," John whispered, worry heavy in his voice. Liara shook her head slowly. "Not burning, only fading. My body cannot hold much longer without rest, but there is no safe place." John scanned the dark houses, the abandoned cars, the broken lamps. Everything looked the same, empty, lifeless, unsafe. "We'll find somewhere," he said stubbornly. "We have to." They ducked into an old underpass, shadows wrapping around them like a cloak. For the first time in hours, silence returned. John lowered her gently against the concrete wall, kneeling beside her. Liara's silver eyes found his, tired but steady. "John, you do not understand the danger. If you stay with me, they will kill you. They will kill anyone near me. You should leave." John stared at her in disbelief. "After everything? You think I'm just going to walk away?" Her voice trembled. "You should. I am not your kind. I am not your fight." John leaned forward, his voice low but fierce. "Listen to me. You're wrong. You think I don't matter because I'm just human, because I don't glow or fly or have alien powers. But I matter. I chose to help you, and that makes it my fight." Liara's lips parted, her eyes widening slightly. For the first time, she saw something in him she had never seen in anyone from her world. Stubbornness born not from duty or blood, but from simple human will. "You do not know what you are stepping into," she whispered. John shook his head. "I don't need to know. I just need to know that you need me. And that's enough." Her throat tightened. She had lived her life surrounded by people who obeyed her because of her title. Soldiers, servants, guards, they all bowed because her blood told them to. But John stood beside her because he chose to. A soft tear slipped from her glowing eye. "On my world, power decides loyalty. But you fight without reason. You fight because you choose. That makes you stronger than kings." John gave a small, tired smile. "Maybe. Or maybe I'm just an idiot." Before she could reply, a low hum filled the night air. John stiffened, his head snapping up. Overhead, the clouds parted, and a massive shadow spread across the sky. Liara's face drained of color. "No," she whispered. The shape grew larger until the stars themselves vanished behind it. A colossal alien ship hovered above the city, its underbelly glowing with strange lights. The air vibrated and the ground trembled under its presence. John's mouth went dry. "What the hell is that?" Liara's voice cracked. "The flagship. They've sent the royal hunters. They know where I am." The ship released a beam of light that swept across the city like a giant searchlight. Every window shattered as the beam passed, and the air filled with the roar of alien engines. John grabbed her hand. "We need to move." Liara shook her head, her eyes full of fear and sorrow. "No, John, this is bigger than running. If they land, they will destroy everything. They will erase this place, your people, your home. You must leave me, now. John tightened his grip on her hand. Not happening. I already told you I'm not leaving you. She stared at him, her voice breaking. Why? Why risk everything for me? John looked straight into her glowing eyes. His voice was steady, even as the ground shook. Because that's what humans do. We protect. We fight for those who can't, even if it kills us. For a moment, silence stretched between them, broken only by the rumble of the ship above. Then Liara placed something small and metallic in his palm. It was a strange device, glowing faintly with silver light. This, she said, her voice shaking, is a beacon. If you press it, it will call my father's enemies. The rebels. They will come for me. But once it is used, there will be no hiding. War will follow. John stared at the device. His chest tightened. He had two choices. Give her up and save his life, or press the beacon and risk bringing war to Earth. Liara's silver eyes searched his face. Choose wisely, John. Your world is not ready for what follows. John looked at the device, then at Liara, her body weak, her voice trembling, but her eyes full of fire. He knew the truth. If he handed her over, Earth might be safe for now, but her death would bring darkness to her world. And maybe to his too. His hand closed around the beacon. I've made my choice, Liara's breath caught. What will you do? John stood gripping the device tightly, his jaw set. I'll fight with you. Whatever comes. Above them, the alien ship's lights flared brighter, preparing to land. The ground cracked under the weight of its engines. John pressed the beacon. The device burst with silver light, shooting a beam into the sky. For a moment, the night itself seemed to burn. Liara gasped, tears streaming down her glowing cheeks. You've just called the war. John stood tall, his heart steady. Then let it come. The sky rumbled. In the distance, stars began to move, ships responding to the beacon, racing toward Earth. The fight for Liara's life had just become the fight for two worlds, and John, an ordinary human, had chosen to stand at the center of it.